Majority Whip, Congressman Tom Emmer, whose name was up in lights for a little while around the country in that crazy search for which crazy search for a speaker? The second one. Second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth.
Yeah, but one of those.
Well, one of
those.
I've seen both sides. I'm not going to say demagogue it, but I saw what Schumer was saying, how that there's just, in no universe are these two things related. We should do, I'm perfectly willing to talk about the border as long as we do it separately from Ukraine and Israel. I can see how it's kind of related, though. We care about our own people and our own country, don't they? We care about Ukraine, too, but this is out of control. 12,000 people a day. It used to be, remember Secretary of Security, Secretary Jay?
Said, Jay Johnson.
He said 1,000 was crazy. 4,000 was completely untenable. Now we're at 12,000. So why so much resistance?
Well, it's interesting. I think he's got resistance within his own group in the Senate. But it's also probably related to the House. The Senate and the House are always competing. Mike Johnson has said that he's willing, we're not going to abandon Ukraine, has been our speaker's statement. But if we're going to help secure someone else's border, we're going to secure ours at the same time. So he has related the two, and he has told them we need to have substantive changes to seal that southern border. And I think the challenge that Chuck Schumer has, Joe, quite frankly, is that the Biden White House needs a win on the border, because you don't have to be just a Republican. You just got to be an American. This is the number 2 issue after the economy for most Americans.
I think that's finally making its way over the transom at the White House. And it's sad. It's like, politically, we need to do something about the border. I mean, it wasn't going to be that it was something that we needed to do, but now it's actually starting to hurt the polls and things like that.
What is the specifics, though, that the House is pushing for that the White House won't accept? Because they keep saying too extreme. So what if you're just looking at the very extreme issues there, what are they?
Well, that's just it.
What is the extreme? Yeah.
But remember, that's what they say, is they are extreme issues. The House passed the strongest border security bill in 20 years back in May. That bill would seal the southern border. They want to claim that it eliminates asylum. They want to claim that it gives people who have a legitimate interest in coming to this country, it precludes that from happening. It does not. What it does, pretty much what we have right now, if you enforce the laws, people have an opportunity to come here. We can seal that border. And the biggest issue, by the way, Joe, I should have added, this is a national security issue. It's not just that Americans politically have had enough and they've seen what happened.
Fentanyl, too.
But this is dangerous. It's not just fentanyl. It's bad actors that are coming across our southern border.
Chris Wray the other day just scared me. Right?
Yeah, and I'll go back. This is a political move. Let's talk, and it's a distant comparison, but pipelines, for instance. When somebody doesn't want a pipeline and they're political, they say, well, I just don't like the route that's taken. I think we got to change the route. And that's what I'm hearing from Chuck Schumer. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is extreme. We can't have that. Well, tell us, what exactly is extreme and what would you change? The challenge Mike Johnson's going to have in the House is that we have a group that wants just the border security bill that we passed, all of those pieces. In the Senate, John Thune has told us that we're probably not going to get all of them, but there are the substantive ones that can make a real difference in securing the southern border. And we'll have to see if Chuck Schumer allows it to move.
I did hear something that sort of sounded almost like the Republicans taking a page from the Democrats' playbook, and that was, we're more worried about funding IRS agents than we are about helping Israel. And it seems like you're back to, that's a domestic, according to Democrats, that's something we really need domestically, whereas Israel, you could say it's the same thing as saying, well, we need to help Ukraine without helping ourselves at the border. Do we need to help Israel without and use the funding for the IRS for a pay-for?
I mean, this is disgusting, frankly. The House voted through the $14.6 billion that is necessary for Israel. It's what they had requested. We did that more than a month ago, Chuck. An interesting novel, Chuck, sorry, Joel.
Wow,
Good morning.
Andrew, did you hear that? We're talking about Chuck Schumer. He just called me Chuck.
I know. Isn't that great?
Take a shot at it. That's like the Jonathan thing. Yeah.
You can call me Tim.
There you go.
Yeah, Chuck. Oh my God.
But the interesting concept, Joe, is that we paid for it. We took the money out of the huge pot of money that Democrats gave to the IRS.
Get Andrew involved here. He thinks that we definitely need Andrew. We need that money, don't we?
We do. We got to figure out the border. I'm not you. You and I.
I'm saying we need the money for the IRS. I'm trying to get you involved in here.
Yes. I mean, the idea that the pay for comes from the IRS to me makes no sense whatsoever. What does the congressman say?
Well, the fact that it makes no sense. Personally, you're talking to somebody who would have passed it without a pay for. But the pay for idea is when you got a country that's bleeding 1.7 trillion on an annual basis and you're 33 trillion in debt, the idea is let's find something to pay for this aid.
But you don't usually take it from the place that actually takes revenue from you and makes it actually harder to actually collect revenue in the future.
Make money.
That's a whole different discussion. Yes, they say that's going to make money, but one, they haven't hired the agents yet. Two, we would have a disagreement about that. They also say they're going to take it from those who have the most. When you're hiring this many IRS agents, I guarantee you that billionaires have plenty of people to tell them how to protect their money. Main Street USA, small businesses, they're the ones that are going to get hit.
The interesting thing about the immigration proposals at this point is you do have some support from the Chicago mayor, from the governor of Massachusetts, Democrats. Has the mayor of New York actually signed off on that yet? He seems like he's been a little quieter.
He's been quiet on the reforms, but he hasn't been quiet on the problem.
Yeah. So what is that maybe the thing that ends the logjam, that you have blue cities, blue state governors and mayors who kind of come to push this over the finish line?
Well, it goes back to what Joe was complaining about or pointing out. Why does it have to be a political issue when it's the right thing to do is seal our own border, make sure that good people that want to come here for the right reasons are able to come here? Leaving a wide open border, and nobody can understand exactly why. Why is it wide open? These mayors putting pressure on the White House absolutely will be helpful to moving it. The question is, what will the Schumer Senate do, and how is the White House going to move them?
You think this actually happens before the holiday? You've got, what, a couple of weeks before something goes, and Ukraine's in a pretty desperate situation.
Yeah, we actually don't. We've got 5 or 6 legislative days left in the year.
So no, the answer is not.
It's unlikely. We're going to have the NDAA conference report, I believe, voted on next week. This is the other thing that's very troubling. The House has actually had all 12 appropriations bills on the floor. They are all ready to be conferenced with the Senate. The Senate has only passed 3 of them so far. We need to get together and get those appropriations bills done before we get to January 19th.
Yeah, well, you still got a majority. We're losing a couple of good men there.
We are.
McCarthy and
Patrick McHenry.
Yeah, and McCarthy.
Yeah.
Eventually. Gates going to be there in a year?
That's up to Matt Gaetz and the people that vote for him.
So it's not going to be some type of. I mean, there's nothing coming down from the ethics investigation that would.
I don't know anything about that. I know that something.
Nothing about that, really. You haven't heard anything about that.
About what it is and what they're doing. I know that somebody just restarted, or there was something reported in the last couple of days that the ethics investigation is still there. That's what I know.
Some people say the Senate might be a better shot than the House in 2024.
I disagree. I think the Senate's got a great shot. I think it will turn because it's got an excellent map and they've got great candidates. But, Joe, I ran the campaign operation for 4 years. And in 2020, when we were losing the White House and we were losing the Senate, we were told we were going to lose 25-plus seats on the Republican side.
Well, you waited till 2022 to have a horrible...
I disagree with you. You know that...
should have been better.
What's that?
Should have been better.
Look, I would disagree with that, too, because really? I told our guys for 2 years... Don't measure the drapes. You do not win majorities on redistricting. Republicans are not great at it. Do you know that in 2012, after the last decade's maps were first run on, Republicans in the House lost the popular vote by 1 point to Democrats, and we had 234 seats. In 2016, we won the popular vote. We had 241 seats. Last November, Chuck, we won the popular vote by over 3 points.
Chuck again. Do I look like?
Did I call you Chuck?
You call me Chuck again. Jonathan.
Hey, Chuck.
Jonathan, what do you think of this? Yeah.
Joe, Chuck.
Chuck, I love this. I love this.
I
I'm
think
going
he's
with Chuck from now on.
Scarborough.
Now
Go
on.
with Chuck.
I'm
Oh, yeah, it might be talking about Chuck Scarborough since Joe
the right
Scarborough
one.
stole my name for Morning
I'm not
Joe.
going to be invited back. That's the bottom line.
Now we can
No,
have
if
it
you're
here.
in studio.
Yeah.
We just, it's that 2-year thing we worry about. No one's safe.
Now you see what the problem is.
The minute you're elected, you start working on your reelection, right? I don't know, but I defer to our founding fathers. They're looking better. No more statues of them are around, but they are looking good. All right, Congressman, thank you.
Thank you,
Good to have you on. And you're Minnesota nice. You are Minnesota nice. You're nice to me and you call me Chuck. Come